Hi, I'm Amber Wong, and I'll be reading from my essay entitled, Can Your House Kill You? I squeezed past Maya and closed my office door behind her, shutting out the last rays of natural light. Under the cool fluorescence, she was already at work, reaching past her rounded belly to sort documents on the table, preparing to brief me, her new manager, on the results of the recently finalized 1996 Palermo Wellfield site investigation. When her dark hair cascaded forward and she brusquely tossed it back, I hid a smile. We were rarities, Asian American women engineers infiltrating a white male-dominated field, constantly challenged to prove that we belonged. To fight back, we assumed gestures of no-nonsense professionalism. She reminded me of my younger self. I'd worked at the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency for 11 years, mostly in water programs, and was thrilled with my new management role in the Superfund program. Over the past month, I'd been poring through the underlying law and enabling regulations while acquainting myself with my staff and their responsibilities. The Superfund Law, the 1980 Comprehensive Environmental Response, Compensation, and Liability Act, was complex and powerful. Enacted in response to the disastrous public health crisis at Love Canal, it gave the Superfund program a clear mandate: discover and clean up the worst of the worst hazardous waste sites in America. Polluters would pay for cleanup. One sledgehammer provision, and one of the most controversial, was that where there were multiple polluters of a site, even the smallest contributors could be liable for the entire cleanup. Finally, if no viable responsible parties could be found, the government would pay. Maya was a site assessment manager, part of a gatekeeping team working to identify sites bad enough to be put on the National Priorities List, known colloquially as the Superfund list. She'd already overseen the sampling work, already roughed out a hazard score using EPA's national formula. She slid the Palermo Wellfield site inspection report across my office table and scooted her chair next to me. Ready? She asked, her dark eyes alert for my reaction. Although I might have been projecting, I sensed a bit of her unease. How well did I understand the site assessment program? How much detail did I need? She probably knew that, like her, I was a civil engineer. She might have heard that I'd had 6 years of engineering experience in private industry prior to my 11 at EPA, and that I was known in the agency for my technical chops. Maya opened the site inspection report and flipped to the summary page. Our contractors did a good job. They chose the right sample location, she began. The data clearly show there's a real problem. Thick with sampling data and maps, the site inspection report laid out the dry facts of our case. Like every great detective, because every site investigation is a detective story, Maya worked backwards from dead body to possible suspects. First, the metaphorical body. Routine sampling by the City of Tumwater had caught dangerous concentrations of trichloroethylene, TCE, and perchloroethylene, PCE, known carcinogens, in the city's tap water. Levels exceeded safe drinking water standards. In addition to health risks from ingestion, tap water sprayed from household faucets and showers could vaporize. Tumwater residents were at risk both from drinking the water and inhaling the solvents. To their credit, the city took quick action, switching to a clean water supply while they searched for the cause. Samples taken at the well field also showed high TCE, indicating the aquifer was contaminated too. Where were the solvents coming from? The aquifer, like a slow underground river, had to be carrying the contaminants from an upstream or upgradient source. So searching for possible users of TCE or PCE, we had to find out who was responsible. The investigation turned up 2 possible sources: a Department of Transportation site and a dry cleaning shop. No smoking gun had been found, but all we needed to move forward was probable cause. Maya smoothed out a well-worn location map in front of me. Hey, let's look at the direction of groundwater flow, she said. As I gave the map a quick once-over, I almost gasped as my finger underscored a telling detail: the map title. I turned to Maya with a wry smile. So wait a minute, this Palermo Wellfield is in Tumwater, Washington? She nodded briskly, and I warily shook my head. Still smiling, I asked, "So, just for reference, where's the Olympia Brewery?" Olympia beer commercials, then pervasive in the Pacific Northwest, touted the natural artesian water of Tumwater, Washington as their secret ingredient. One jingle even ended with the slogan, "It's the water, and a lot more." With damning data about the Palermo Aquifer right in front of us and the sure knowledge that pollutants can spread, the catchphrase felt badly misplaced, if not a bit sinister. Maya's brows shot up as she stood to scan the map. She knew exactly what I was thinking. Does the brewery pull from that contaminated aquifer? At last, she pointed to the edge of the map and rubbed her forehead in relief. No. The brewery's upgrading it, not affected at all. Oh, and besides, they don't brew with well water anymore. They're hooked up to the city water supply now. When my eyes widened in alarm, she quickly clarified, "No, the city of Olympia, not Tumwater." We laughed together in mutual respect. An EPA public relations disaster had been averted, although the Olympia Brewery and their advertising agency had some explaining to do. She swept back her dark hair and leaned over the table. But there's another big problem. From pictures on my desk, she must have known I was a single mom, and in her frown I saw the deep concern of the young mother she was soon to be. She pointed to the bottom of the bluff, and her voice rose with new urgency. "See these backyards? Water pools up there when it rains. Is it groundwater or stormwater? Is it contaminated? When we were out there drilling sampling wells, we saw lots of kids playing in their yards." I grimaced and started to respond, but caught myself as her voice dropped ominously. "And that's not all." My chest tightened. Not all? People were drinking carcinogens? Kids might be splashing in carcinogens? The danger wasn't just hypothetical. How could it be worse? She waved her hand over the map of the whole neighborhood. "Look, that groundwater flows under their houses. If some TCE or PCE vaporizes, it can seep up through the soil, into the crawl spaces, and into their homes. So there's the potential for vapor intrusion, just like with radon gas. While they're at home, they could be breathing it too." Ugh. I sat stunned, virtually gut-punched. Pollution could stalk you, creep into your house, get that personal. Vapor intrusion is such an insidious threat. Everybody breathes. Unlike dealing with tainted drinking water, you can't just buy bottled air. Thank you.